No, I love it. But for my purposes, it's like what it's
traditional way.
Yeah, I just like to take some of the skills out of it.
Like one of them was, you do this with gloves on, you practice here. And he talked about there's different ranges of elbows that they use in C-lock. Like, you know, one elbow might be like off long, whereas another one is in close. And others are vertical, some horizontal. So this one here was one of the simple ones. You're actually, you know, I'm alternating arms. I actually like putting in like this type of thing because I'm just thinking about doing eye flips. Here, another one you go down, and here, and so that's a 10 count. You know, and then Jerome Barber, when he did the ECC class, one of the things I picked up, whether he remembers it or not, whether it's part of his curriculum or not, I remembered, you know, even though I learned, you know, the different strikes and what you do, this drill of, you know, this one at 4 and 8 counts, you know, 4 on each side, whether it's this or this, and this and this and this. Doing these things over and over, you get pretty, you know, pretty soon it's like nothing. I'm going to go ahead and be a groin, and this could be, you know, you learn how to use the tools, and those are just a few. But there are other Kenpo techniques I learned, which you were saying, like the Jurus, and how it's sort of strange. What I liked about the Kenpo stuff is if you get over in 3 seconds, like the one move is like for a front push. Alright, one of the moves you step and you come up the center. I know this was in Kumantau and C-Lock systems where you would sometimes step up this. And we would open, this would be like an eye raker claw. Grab the guy's one bicep on one side, pull him the elbow in the claw, that's it. That was just one of the few things. And then there were others. Like the most elaborate one, you know, it's kind of in the air looked something like this. And well, every one of those like motions has like, you know, kind of try to do it on film. It's sort of like for a front push, and from right in the middle, you start to go through the guy's eyes, right? And then you come down and you grab his groin. Now, what are your natural reactions? Probably from the get-go. If someone goes by your eyes, your hands go by your eyes. I kind of swipe them away, but my hands come out. Sorry. Groin. All right, groin and next. Guy grabs his groin. Wham! To the head. Here, temples, and then this sort of chop happens, and then it sets up his knee. So, you know, that was the end of the technique, and that was about the longest, you know, flowery thing. But after being at the school for 3 years, you know, my goofy instructor, he loved to demonstrate. I had to come on, he'd be like, come on, I go to push me. He goes, yeah! And he'd be doing all his noises. And he'd stop with his hands in my head. I'd go, holy shit, you know? And, but, you know, some of the, like, especially this one where you just come in, boom, boom. It's just like very straight to the pin. And I like this stuff. And some of it I can compare with like, say the pop, just the pop stuff. Almost all the time it's used with that, right? And sometimes I would put that, but I would like that. And I really like the application, especially if I start from the right way. Try to come across here, and then step in, boom, hit, and then just drop. Or, you know, here, like I would, and the guy's eyes probably going to turn away, you're going to grab his head. His hands are going to be here, and this is wide open. Boom! It's like, oh, that guy's done. I like that type of application. I don't want to study all the long forms and I understand it. But Bob Orlando did do a great job on a couple of his tapes. I have the one all with the action reflex drills or reflex action. And it starts with Hoobud, sort of like Hoobud, but with the punch. And it covers a lot of stuff. And what I was going to say is Joseph Simonette. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his material. Andy Hernandez. He went from doing all the Jurus, the tapes on Jurus, and studying traditional Pencha, and then he may have went against some tradition by trying to say, you know, I'm going to teach these C-Lock concepts instead of just the Jurus. I mean, he do the classical traditional stuff, but then he started, you know, showing them, okay, well, here's how we put it all together. And they got material through Paladin Press, and I like looking at their stuff. You know, there's a lot of clips in YouTube. I haven't paid him any money, but I mean, it's tempting, because he works with a girl who's really small, short. Yeah. They do Filipino-like stuff. They blend the, you know, pop style, lop style. They got, you know, a lot of background. The Wing Chun, C-Lock, And then he just talks about the mental aspect. You know, he's not all, I mean, he'll teach you what he learned technically, but he's like trying to get across that YouTube one, and he's all like, fuck you! He starts fucking it up. He's like, that's what we're talking about. You know, people like that mental, when shit's flying and shit hits the fan kind of thing. You know, so they got a good program. He works with the dummy. Well, I like watching people present the CUI from a functional standpoint. Like, here's how we put it together. Those are the people that I saw, like I said, I had seen pops up for a few years, and then down the road, I see guys go boom, boom, right to the elbow. Like Eric Paulson does on the video when he's teaching me routine. You know, and it goes like so nice right into, you know, you got the guy wherever you want, and you're going to break him down right here, and that's where you're going to drop him. Unless you're, you know, any time you let him roll out and throw him. But, yeah, I saw a lot of similarity when we were doing that earlier. With the, where the non-use was that single wall. And, self-defense, you know, drawing up sides. Oh, well, this can be defensive, but it can be offensive too. And when I look in a shower window, you know, that's the first thing I saw. The guy does like an inside or sort of sweeping block against the guy's lead punch. And it just came right down to a groin hit or grab. You know, and then he kind of came up. I couldn't tell, but it looked like he was almost going to grab the guy's throat from here. Yeah. And weren't you showing us, or was it you that was showing us in Thai? There's that,
oh yeah, like against the hook.
So, you know, I see the connections with the motions, and that's okay, you know.
If you sure do that in the ring, the referee will love that.